Well, hi there. It's Monday and time for Monday Mastery. I'm author and dating coach Rick Soderbeer. I'm your host of Monday Mastery, where we talk about dating and relationships and all the nuances and intricacies about finding your soulmate, or if you prefer, extraordinary relationship. Thanks for joining in tonight. I'm so glad you're here. I hope you had a great week last week and a wonderful weekend. It's been really awesome down here in Alabama, and I'm starting to count down the days before I start heading north again, and I'm kind of getting into a funk about leaving. It's been so nice the last couple of weeks, and we're going to have some cold weather for the next few days, and as the warm and cold weather is kind of commingling here, so to speak, so I'm getting some taste of what it's going to be like as I migrate north. So anyway, today's topic is, can love overcome incompatibility? And I want to really wait till I comment, for me to comment on the subject, until a number of you have shared your thoughts, your ideas, because because your input is, hey Terry, thanks for joining in. Your input is so important, and it makes for a really awesome conversation. And I see I'm going to have to, I got some sunlight reflecting off my neighbor's RV here, so yeah, well, that's okay. We'll have to deal with it. But anyway, give me your thoughts. Can love overcome incompatibility? And there are a couple of schools of thought, as I posted earlier, that one school of thought, yes, love can overcome any obstacle. And then there's another school of thought that love isn't enough. There has to be more. There has to be a lot more than just love. So what are your thoughts? Tell me. That's what we're here for today. There's and then are there varying degrees in between? Can you work things out if you have a few things in common, or a little compatibility, or do you need a lot more than just love to make the relationship work? So what are your thoughts? I see there's a few of you on here already. Just let me know. Just pop in the chat box there what you're thinking, and because I don't want to share my ideas too soon, because I don't want to spoil the fun. I want to see your comments first, and then we can talk about it and roll from there. So anyway, and for those of you, I know Terry's here, but who else is out there? Who else is say hi at least, and tell me who you are, and maybe even where you're from. And so, it's the topic today was spurred on by a couple of conversations I had over the weekend, and about compatibility. And it got me to thinking that some people try to force a situation, or try to force a relationship, in spite of the fact that there are some components missing. And it goes back to my premise for getting into this business in the first place. Shortly after my divorce, I started recognizing all the mistakes I had made, and maybe our love wasn't strong enough to make my marriage work. Maybe we didn't love each other enough. Is that a possibility? And I struggled with that for a couple of years. Did I try hard enough? Are there things that I could have done? In my situation, I came to the conclusion that no matter what I did, it would not have been enough. because this leads to another question. Well, let me pop this up. Hey, Paul, thanks for joining in. Glad to see you're here. Hey, Liz, thanks for being here. Glad to see you're here. And Terry says, I think there has to be more than love. Love doesn't always conquer all. There's got to be some similar interests and I lost my mind. And Liz says, "Hi, Rick. I don't be in a hurry to get back to Michigan. We're getting more snow this weekend. Well, I won't be back until late April, so I appreciate that, Liz. And hopefully, I've got some indoor projects when I get up there. Working on my studio, I got a long ways into that project. I'm kind of going down a rabbit hole, but I got a long ways into that project last time I was there, and I've got a few things to finish up, and then start setting up my equipment, and I'll be broadcasting from there late in the month of May, or late in the month of April, I hope. Anyway, but Terry, yes, I agree that you raise a good point. There's got to be. I agree that similar interests make the relationship so much easier. And one of the things that I've observed over the years, even before my divorce, is that there's so much information out there on how to fix a broken relationship or a broken marriage. And what would it take to have that not be the case? What would it take to have an awesome relationship right out of the box? And that's, I think we lose sight of this, and I say this in a general nature because when you look at churches, they're all about strengthening marriages, which, don't misunderstand me, strengthening a marriage is an awesome task or an awesome goal. And it's something that I think all relationships, all marriages need to be worked on. But where is the line of choosing either not to marry someone or to leave a relationship that just isn't working? And how much effort do you put in? And please, I don't want to mislead anybody to think that I am pro-divorce. No, I am not. It's dirty, it's messy, it's nasty, and it hurts a lot of people. So, from that perspective, I think that divorce is probably the last resort if you're married. But that being said, what do you do if only one of you is working on it? What do you do if there are circumstances beyond your control? And what about working on that relationship before you're married? Where do you guys fall on this? Terry popped in and said she thinks it takes more than love. What about some of you others? There are some very strong feelings out there that if you find somebody that you love, you can make anything work. And there are some authors out there that will tell you the very same thing, that you need to work on. You need to work on the relationship. You need to work on communication. You need to learn to respect your significant other's wants, needs, and desires, and they need to do the same for you. And where do you cross that line in the sand when there's no longer the desire, or there's more effort being put in on one end or from one side than the other. And Terry says, some differences can be worked out with respect to each other, but if there isn't some common interests, you would certainly be going in opposite directions. I agree, Terry. I totally agree. Hey, Phil, thanks for joining in. Glad to see you're here. And I'll give you guys a couple more opportunities, a couple more minutes here to pipe in and share your thoughts and on whether love can conquer. I'd like to hear from somebody who thinks that love can conquer all, that can. And Terry's been the only one that's been vocal about this so far. So for those of you that may have another opinion, please share that. I'd love to hear that because I want to balance on both sides here today, and because otherwise, then I'm just going to share my piece with you, and then we can rock and roll from there. But there are differing opinions, and maybe it's just younger people. Is it just younger people that believe that love can conquer all? And there's been so many songs written about love is all we need, and there was a lot of songs or a number of songs written in the 80s that all you need is love to survive. And has anybody actually been in a marriage or in a relationship like that? That would be another interesting question, where you relied on love, and how did that work? So, drop a note in the chat here and let us know. I'd love for you to share those ideas with us, or your experiences. I'll share mine real quick. That when I got married, I was ignoring a lot of the red flags, as I've shared with you all in the past, and I loved her, and as I was thinking about my conversation with you all today, I think I loved. It was not an unconditional love. It was a conditional love. And, do I care about her to this day? Absolutely. But could I say that I absolutely love her today? No. That would be a misrepresentation of my feelings for her. Are there people that I've dated? Are there women that I've dated that I love unconditionally? Yeah, there are a couple. And for me personally, I guess I'll dive off this cliff now. For me, love is not enough, because I need to, and this is for me personally, I need to have an intellectual, a spiritual, an emotional, and a physical connection. And one of the women I love most dearly, she and I are missing some compatibility on the spiritual aspect of it. And it breaks my heart that we're so close, yet we're so far away. And there are other aspects of that relationship that are not good, that we tend to have differing opinions on a number of different things within the household. So, for me, I need to have some compatibility. I need to have someone that is more like me, and is I don't know if I want to say more adventurous, but there are some things about my lifestyle, being a nomad or a wanderer, are not necessarily compatible to to a long lasting relationship. And hey, Addie, thanks for joining in. And it there are some stumbling blocks. Yet I know there are women out there. It's just a matter of I haven't found one that my somewhat nomadic lifestyle would not be a problem. And Addie says, I was in a long-term relationship with someone that really we didn't have any interest in common. I ended up morphing. Oh, I like this. And become more like him because I thought I loved him. In the end, I just resented a lot of what I became, if that makes sense. That makes absolute sense, Addie. I'm so glad you mentioned that because, we all tend to do that in relationships. And, I think it happens most in the least compatible relationships. And when I say least compatible, I mean you have the fewest number of elements in common. One tends to morph into into a more compatible mate in order to make the relationship work, in order to keep the peace in the family or in the household, or in the relationship. And I think that is you nailed something head on, Addie. And I think that's awesome that you recognize that. And the more and so many times the more people change, the more they can become resentful. Or if you try to change somebody and get them to adjust their lifestyle, their behavior, and their characteristics or traits to accommodate you, they can build up resentment in the relationship, and that's not healthy either. So that resentment can go both ways. And so that's one of the things that I try to share with you all, that I want you all to understand, is that you cannot get into a relationship with the intent to change someone. The only one that can change is you. You're the only one that can change. And that's only if you have some bad habits. And if you're morphing into or changing into or adapting bad habits, if you've got a partner that's getting you into drugs or getting you into emotional situations that raise your anger or cause you to do things that you wouldn't normally do, that's a toxic relationship. And Phil says, Gail and I always were committed to our marriage, and it was worth staying together. And Phil, let me ask you, did you have a lot of things in common, or did you have to work on a lot of work through a lot of things where you found that there were incompatibilities? So that I'd if you can pop that in the chat, Phil, I'd appreciate that. But I think Addie and Terry have both nailed a couple of things here that and I agree. And so I'm kind of falling on the side that it takes more than love to make a relationship work. Again, for me personally, I know that love itself won't hold a relationship together, because there are too many moving parts. There are too many components that can cause friction and irritation and upset in a relationship. And I don't know about you, but I don't want to deal with those things. I don't want to I don't want to struggle significantly. I don't want to try to figure out how to overcome great incompatibilities. And Phil says, a popular author, Elizabeth Elliot, spoke about committed marriage. I'm not sure. And I think when you're in a marriage, you need to be committed. But leading up to marriage, how much work, where do you draw the line? And unfortunately, what I see in too many marriages today is that there is not enough work done on the front end of the marriage. There's not enough due diligence done to get to know each other, to understand. If and many times this can come from opposites, and we say, we do know that opposites attract. Science even proves it, that people of opposite personalities can attract, or opposite characteristics, and it's exciting for a while, but to a point, it starts to grate on you, and the things you thought were cute and fun and neat and different and exciting in the beginning can be the little things that start to irritate the heck out of you, and start to cause you to get irritated with your partner. And that's not the kind of relationship we should be looking for. And statistically, scientists say that yes, opposites attract, but those relationships tend to last on average about 5 years. Now, there will be examples of opposites that last much longer than that. I can think of a couple of people that are on opposite ends of the political spectrum. It's Mary Matlin and I forget his name, but she's a Republican strategist and he's a Democrat strategist, and it's like, how do these two survive in the same household? To me, we'd be throwing knives at each other, but they apparently make it work, and apparently they have enough other things in common that they can make it work. Where do you draw the line? How much do you have to have in common? For me, I want a lot in common, and I know that whoever I'm with will never be an exact replica of me, and that's fine, because whoever you're with is going to bring something new and unique to the relationship, and there has to be and I firmly believe there has to be a significant amount of compatibility to begin with. It's my experience is that when somebody brings something new to the relationship, or to a relationship, you may initially look at it as, I'll never be a part of that. But from personal experience, I know that if this is somebody you really care about, you're going to take a look at what their passions are. You're going to start observing. You're going to start participating, maybe on a arm's length basis, but you're going to be supportive of your mate. It's let's see. I'm sorry, I missed a comment here by Phil. Missed a couple of minutes ago. Phil says it takes two people and a willingness to change and forgive each other. Absolutely, I totally agree. But again, I go back to how much do you want? How much do you need in common? Do you need just a couple of things in common? Do you need to? Hey, Kathy, thanks for joining in. And Kathy says, I definitely agree with you. And one of my dearest friends that she and I worked together doing workshops together for a couple of years. And when we looked at her must-have list, she had five things, five, count them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, on her must-have list. And the rest didn't make any difference to her. Where me, on the other hand, I've got 36 on my must-have list. And, and my list is my list, her list is her list. And so she's very open and enjoys a much broader array of subjects and experiences, and so whereas I may be a little more, it's not that I don't like a wide array of experiences, but they may be in a slightly narrower path, if any of that is making sense. And so I think when you create your must-have list and your deal-breaker list, it's unique to you. Nobody should be telling you what's important to you and what isn't. And if anybody's telling you that, your list is too long, you're way too picky, those are the people that have made poor choices and don't want you to. And maybe not intentionally, but they're telling you that you should, because they don't have everything that they want in their marriage or their relationship, that you shouldn't have everything that you want. We live in a society of you deserve only the best. Until it comes to relationships, you deserve the best home, you deserve the best food, you deserve the best car, you deserve the best vacations, you deserve the best gym, the whatever it is, you deserve the best. Yet when it comes to relationships, well, you're too picky. You can't have everything that you want, and that's where I disagree with virtually everybody on that side of the aisle, because you can have everything that you want. I know for a fact, in all of the extraordinary couples, or the soulmate couples that I've introduced, they've all told me that their partner has brought more to the relationship than they ever could have imagined. So when you look at your list, whether it's 5 or 36 or 40 or 50, whatever it is, you have to understand that your partner, when they meet all of your criteria, they're going to bring stuff that you never even thought about. And that's what makes this so great. But you'll never find that if you settle. You'll never find that if you cop out and say, well, this is the best I can find. And we start running into that fear of, well, I don't want to end up alone. Oh, I don't want to, I might not find any better. And Kathy says, it's so hard to find that person. Of course it is, Kathy. I totally agree. But if it were easy to, what have you ever done, or what have you ever accomplished that's worth anything that hasn't been difficult? What has been easy in your life that was totally worthwhile? And I'd venture a guess that it's probably not much. And finding your soulmate is no different. It's a matter of, and everybody, there are so many people tell me that it's so difficult to find guys to date. Well, how many guys do you want to date? Are you looking trying to perform your search through a bunch of people, or are you looking for that one person? And that's it. We should be looking for that one person, not a bunch of people to choose from. The odds of you finding a bunch of good guys or good women to choose from it makes it even more difficult. It would be awesome if we could just go pick dates off a tree like you pick apples, or pick potential mates off a tree like you pick apples. but it doesn't work that way. It's a matter of finding somebody, getting to know them a little bit, and then weeding, going through the process of figuring out whether they, what they have to offer, and they have to do the same thing with you. And you might find somebody that's just awesome, but you may not be their soulmate. So, there's the possibility of that. So you have to be careful not to, I don't want to say overinvest, but you have to be careful not to invest or become so infatuated or so connected to somebody that they become your whole life, and they're not reciprocating. What you'll find is when you're in that extraordinary relationship, there will be a reciprocal effort. This is not going to be a one-sided. Now, there are going to be times where it will be a little more one-sided than others. We all go through those cycles, but it's not something that is a continual long-term event. And Kathy, hey, Geneva, thanks for joining in. And I'm sorry, Geneva, I missed your comment here. Yeah, thanks for being here. Glad you're here joining us. And Kathy, the idea is, at least for me, and what I try to teach and what I try to share is that you need to be looking for that one person, and it's an ongoing effort until you. And let me back up a little bit. I believe we all have more than one soulmate. It's just a matter of which one you find first, and so it's a matter of looking and looking and looking. It's dating. It's going through online profiles. It's going to social events. It's meeting people, and you just don't know where that person is going to show up. And it takes effort. I wish there was a magic wand that I could wave over everyone and say, boom, your soulmate is going to be waiting at home for you when you get there tonight. It just doesn't work that way. It would be nice if it did, but it doesn't. We have to put in some effort. We have to be an active participant in our dating life. It's and some of this, you guys have heard over and over and over again. It's not a matter of having a few dates and saying, "Oh, I'm tired of this." You have to be in it for the long haul. Are you committed to finding your soulmate? And your soulmate, again, will bring more to the table than you can ever imagine. There'll be a connection so deep, and you'll know when it's going both ways. If it's only going one way, if you're the one that feels that they're your soulmate, you're going to be making every effort to make this work, and the other person won't. Or if you find somebody that is just enamored with you, they're going to do everything in their power to make the relationship work. But if you're not feeling it, if you're not feeling the connection, or if there's something missing on your must-have list, or you're missing one of the four cornerstones, the intellectual, spiritual, emotional, or physical connection, if you're not speaking similar love languages, I think that you're going to recognize, yeah, this isn't the right relationship. And when you recognize that, just say, hey, I'm not feeling the connection. Or if you recognize that you're the one doing all the giving, just saying, hey, I'm thinking that this is probably not a healthy relationship for us because I don't feel a reciprocal effort here. And Phil says, relationships are a process that takes time and have growth together. And I agree. But there are there are some fundamentals that need to be there in my opinion, that need to be there from the beginning. If they're not there from the beginning, then I think you're building a house on a foundation of sand, and it can crumble at any time. Again, from my experience and from my interviews with others, people have developed an intellectual connection, a spiritual connection. And when I say spiritual connection, it's if you're a Christian, be with a Christian. If you're a Muslim, be with a Muslim. If you're a Jew, be with a Jew. Or if you're an agnostic, be with an agnostic. Don't try to force somebody into just because they have a lot of things that you like. Don't try to force them into your way of believing, because that'll never work. And I've talked to so many people over the years that yeah, he said he was, and this goes mostly for the ladies, that ladies tell me this more than guys do, that ladies tell me stories that the guys they started dating says, yeah, I'll go to church, or yeah, I'm a Christian, and the more the time they spend together, yeah, there's less of a fundamental belief in God or Christianity or whatever it is, or whatever religion. It doesn't have to be Christianity. It's just that's the one I run into most often. That it just that the actions don't align with the words. And that's what takes time. You need to make sure that you align, that everything that you're working on is aligning. The words are they're talking the talk and they're walking the walk, or as it's been put, they're walking the talk. So that's. And Kathy says, I'm learning if I don't have chemistry after 2 or 3 dates, it's not going to happen. And that's my feeling too. And generally, and I may be cut it off a little bit shorter. If I'm not feeling chemistry after the first date, it's not happening with me. But you're right, Kathy. And, I applaud you for giving the guys a little extra time. But in addition to the chemistry, I mean, you should be starting to see, do they have all of your must-haves? Does he have any of your deal breakers? And there are going to be some times, to go to Phil's point, that it takes a little bit of time. When you start to develop a relationship, and you start dating somebody, it takes time to peel back the layers of who they are, and it takes them time to peel back the layers of who you are. And that is a process. But when you go in prepared, when you come in prepared from a dating perspective, when you know what you're looking for, it shouldn't take you a whole long time. There are going to be, you should be able to figure out in 30 days or less whether somebody's worth pursuing further or not. If you're not there, let's talk. Let's talk about you enrolling in Dating Made Simple Academy. It's a great way to get you prepared for dating and setting you up for success in dating. I'm not going to guarantee that you're gonna go through the course and go out and find your soulmate within a couple of weeks. But what I will promise is that it will help you stay out of the wrong relationships. And those are the ones that burn us the worst. Those are the ones that the infatuation and raging hormones of a new relationship blind us. And we either ignore the red flags or the warning signs, or we just miss them. We miss them completely because we're not paying attention. And my whole premise, everything I try to teach you all is that you need to step back out of that infatuation and the raging hormones, if just only temporarily, to say, wait, is this the potential? Does this have a potential for a good relationship, or am I just all excited and the hormones are flowing and I'm not talking sexually. I'm just talking, it's a biological connection that we develop with people. when we're excited about somebody, the dopamine, the serotonin, the all I can think of are the drugs, oxytocin. All these things come together, and they start pumping our body full of hormones and affecting how we think. And that's why it's so important to be able to step back and at least for a short period of time and say, hey, wait, is this a good relationship or no? Or does this have potential to be a good relationship or no? And Terry says, I went out with an agnostic who knew I was a Christian, and he said, I'm okay if you want to go to church, but that's not what I want. I want someone who has similar beliefs. Absolutely. And I'm assuming we're on the same page there, that when we die, we want to see each other in heaven again. And she also says, of course, your course helped me look at more than just a cute face. Well, and see, and Terry, thank you. I appreciate that. And that's what so many people get caught up in, especially guys. Guys are a little more visual than women, but ladies, let's face it, you guys like a good-looking guy too. And, and all that is great. That's part of the physical attraction, but that's not the whole package. It's a matter of making sure that you have components of each other that are compatible. There are going to be little things that you have to adjust. It's especially the longer you've been single or the longer you've been widowed. The longer that you've lived alone, it's going to be a major adjustment to move in with somebody or to get married and move in. And all those things have to be taken into account. We can't just look at a pretty face, so to speak, whether it's a woman or a guy, and think that, yeah, hey, I've met some very beautiful women, but the minute they spoke is like, oh my gosh, there's no way that I could even begin to talk about a relationship with somebody like that, either because of lack of common interests, and it could be a voice, think about it. We can be chatting back and forth or texting back and forth until you hear the voice. That could be a deal breaker. I know I've met a couple of women that it's just a voice that I could not wake up next to for the rest of my life. And I'm sure, ladies, you've met guys like that too. And Terry says, I didn't realize how important the four cornerstones were in a relationship. Absolutely. They are the foundation, and Terry, as you well know, you've gone through the course. The four cornerstones of great relationships are the foundation. Those are the building blocks. You build from there. Without those, it's like a four-legged table. Let's look at it as a four-legged table, and your relationship is that part of that's your relationship is built on the tabletop. Now, if it's a four-legged table, it's an intellectual, spiritual, emotional, and physical connection, and each one of those is a different leg, and each one of those is extremely important to the relationship. You can remove any one of those legs, and what happens? That table or the relationship automatically become less stable. Can you set things on the table without the table collapsing? Absolutely, but it becomes a balancing act. I can remove a second leg from that table, and I can start balancing that table on edge, on two of the legs, but it becomes even less stable. And anything that you try building on that table is very precarious. And finally, you remove a third leg, and you're usually left with the physical connection. Because let's face it, we're all very physical, or most of us are very physical, and that both visually and physically. And that's what so many relationships start out as, are built on, is that physical connection. You could theoretically stand that table up on the edge of one of those legs, and you could get it to balance, but once you get a breath of wind or just a little disruption, just somebody walking by, that table would fall over. And that's what the four cornerstones are all about, is having a solid foundation on which to build. If you're building a foundation on just one or two of those cornerstones, you're going to have a really, really, really rough time. And that's where so many relationships, where so many marriages are today, is they're built on the wrong, they're built on foundations of sand. And you get a little disruption in the sand, and your whole relationship comes tumbling down. It's so again, and there are so many moving parts to a healthy relationship. We, as kids, as young people, we were never taught, at least I was never taught, how to date. The only dating advice I got is my first girlfriend. My dad told me, there are more fish in the sea. Don't get hooked on one. That was the dating advice that my dad gave me. And I was about 16, 17 years old. And, it's like, yeah, okay, what am I supposed to do with that? I don't see breaking up with her right now. And so, but it was a prediction. And he was right to an extent, but there's so much more to relationships than that. It's, having your must-haves, your deal breakers, talking about or being able to speak similar love languages. And the author, Gary Chapman, says that you don't need to speak similar love languages, but his original book was written for married couples and trying to help them work through communication problems. And when you have communication problems that stem from the very beginning, that just makes it so much harder to try to resolve issues. I look at my marriage, and my ex, one of her primary love languages was gifts. Gifts doesn't even register on my love languages. It literally doesn't. Gifts are so unimportant to me, and I have to look, when I'm dating, I have to look at somebody that gifts are not important. Does it mean I don't give gifts? No, it doesn't mean that at all. But what it does mean is that it's not a high expectation. It's not, I'm not going to hear, well, if you knew me, you'd know what to get me. I'm not going to work that way. I don't work that way. It just shoot me. It's write it down. Tell me what you need. And for other people, and ladies especially, I see when I talk with clients, it's mostly or a significant portion are quality time. Well, I can do that. I can spend time. It might. That's a little bit of an adjustment for me, but we can do that. And so my whole point here is that when you're in the middle of your search for somebody that speaks similar love languages. If you haven't read the book, go get the singles edition of the 5 love languages. It's a great book. It talks about the 5 basic love languages and how each one of us can speak each one, but we tend to have one or two that are primary to us and that we speak fluently. And it's so much easier to communicate when we're speaking the same language. It's like speaking English and French. If you're speaking French to me, it's right over my head. Just as if I'm speaking English, boom, it's going to be over your head too. So we want to connect in ways that in as many ways as we can, and not make it as big of a struggle as it can be. And I think that's where so many couples over the years fall short, is that they get together because they have a few commonalities, but they haven't taken a deep dive and taken a deep look into the whole relationship. They say, yeah, I'm comfortable, I don't want to look anymore, let's go get married, let's make this a permanent thing. And then 2, 3, 5, 10 years down the road, then problems start, communication issues happen. It's incompatibilities. I talk to people every day that, and especially married couples, is, yeah, my husband doesn't like to do this, my husband doesn't like to do that. He likes to do this and I don't, and so there's a wall built, or divisions built that keep you apart. And the whole point of doing the work up front is to find somebody that you can build a life with, not build a life of incompatibility, where he goes his way, she goes her way, and you meet for dinner. That's not, to me, that's not much of a life. It's about finding that connection that's going to just excite you. It's the connection you have that if you're apart, you look forward to sharing your day with your partner. You look forward to them coming home, or to you getting home and sharing your day. It's about getting excited about sharing goals and dreams and the things that are important to you. It could be missions trips, it could be golfing, it could be traveling, it could be any number of things that you develop in common. It's and when you develop that connection, it's just it's so deep, it's so it just defies words. There are all these moving parts, and then the chemistry on top of that. Now, and when I say chemistry, you develop a bond, you develop a connection with your partner, and it's not the raging hormones of a new relationship. Those are the things that bond the relationship in the early phases. But all that stuff calms down after a while. The butterflies disappear, the weak knees or the tingling toes, those disappear, and then you get into a normal rhythm of life. And it's that chemistry, it's that connection, it's that love for each other. And I know they say that love is a choice rather than emotion, but I don't know. I have mixed feelings on that. I believe it is an emotion, and when we have that emotion, when we feel that love, that commitment to someone, we do things that for them that we would do for no one else. So anyway, I hope this has been beneficial for you. If you guys have any additional comments, you guys, some great comments tonight. Kathy, Terry, Phil. Yeah, I appreciate it, Addie. I'm sorry. I appreciate your comments, and so if you have if you have different experience, let me know. If you've worked on relationships that have been basically completely opposites and have made it work, let me know. I'd love to hear that. Or shoot me a message and share your thoughts with me. If you have an interest in Terry pointed out that my course, Dating Made Simple Academy, made her look at relationships at more than just a cute face. There has to be a lot more. If you'd like to learn more about that, shoot me a message and I can share some information with you. It's a course designed to help you take. And I hate to say it helps you take the emotion out of the dating process, but it helps you step back from the infatuation. It helps you take a more realistic look at dating and relationships and what needs to happen. And a lot of times that's, we get caught up in the excitement and raging hormones and infatuation that cause us to go down a path that we shouldn't. And the whole idea of what I try to teach you in this course is to keep you out of bad relationships. And like I said earlier, my course is not guaranteed to help you find your soulmate next week. But what I will promise you is that you will start making better decisions about the people you date. If you have a consistent problem in picking people, this is what you need to take a look at. This is something you should dive into and learn how to make better choices. And those choices. Good night, Terry. Thanks for joining in. Those choices are not always easy. Again, like I said earlier, early on tonight, there's a couple of women that I just absolutely love, but I know I can't live with them. So learn how to make those choices. But anyway, Terry's telling me it's time to wrap this up. So anyway, Terry, thanks for being here. Thank you, everybody. Kathy, Phil, Addie, Liz, and Paul, and I thought I'm missing somebody here, but maybe not. But anyway, thank you guys, and everybody who didn't chime in. Appreciate you being here. Love you guys. I'll be here next Monday, and I hope you have a great and blessed week and a fun weekend. Have a good night, everybody. Love you.